The desert sun beat down on Dr. Elena Rodriguez as she wiped sweat from her forehead. She had been walking across the Nevada wasteland for 3 hours, looking for old artifacts buried in the sand. Her metal detector had been quiet all morning, giving only small beeps for bottle caps and old coins. Elena worked as a scientist who studied ancient things. She loved finding objects that told stories about the past. Today felt different, though. Something was pulling her deeper into the empty desert. Away from the roads and towns, her teammate, Jake Morrison, was about 50 feet away, carrying his own equipment. Jake was an engineer who could fix almost anything. He was good at figuring out how machines worked, which made him perfect for their team. The third member, Dr. Amanda Price, was setting up her computers near their truck. Amanda was a physicist who understood how energy and matter behaved. Elena stopped walking when her metal detector started making loud, continuous beeps. The sound was stronger than anything she had heard before. She looked down at the sandy ground and saw nothing special, just rocks and dirt like everywhere else. "Jake, come over here," she called out. "This thing is going crazy." Jake jogged over, his boots crunching on the dry sand. He looked at Elena's detector and frowned. "That's weird. The signal is huge. Way bigger than any normal metal object." Elena knelt down and brushed sand away from the spot. Instead of finding a small buried item, her hand touched something smooth and cold. The material felt like metal, but it was unlike anything she had ever touched before. It seemed to change temperature as she held her palm against it. "Amanda, you need to see this." Elena shouted toward their truck. Dr. Amanda Price grabbed her portable scanner and hurried over. She was excited because unusual readings often meant interesting discoveries. When she reached Elena and Jake, she saw them both staring at a small patch of strange metal sticking out of the ground. Amanda turned on her scanner and pointed it at the metal. The device immediately started, flashing red warning lights. "This is impossible," she said quietly. "The readings show this object is massive, much bigger than what we can see." The three scientists spent the next hour carefully digging around the metal patch. As they removed more sand, they realized they had found something incredible. The metal piece was part of a huge structure buried beneath their feet. The object stretched in all directions, far bigger than any building Elena had ever seen. "This thing is enormous," Jake said, breathing heavily from digging. "It has to be at least the size of 3 football fields put together." Elena stood up and looked at the small section they had uncovered. The metal had strange markings on it that looked like writing, but not from any language she knew. The symbols seemed to glow faintly in the sunlight, as if they had their own inner light. Amanda was taking measurements with all her equipment. "The composition is completely unknown," she reported. "It's not made from any element we have on Earth. And look at this." She showed Elena and Jake her scanner screen. "The metal is responding to our presence. The temperature and electrical readings keep changing." Jake ran his hand along the surface. "It feels alive somehow, like it knows we're here." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years of studying ancient artifacts, she had never found anything like this. The object was clearly not made by humans. The technology was far beyond anything people could create, even today. "We need to call this in," Elena said. "This is bigger than just an archaeological find." Amanda nodded. "The government will want to know about this immediately. We might have found something from another world." Jake was already taking pictures with his camera. "Look at these burn marks along the edge," he said, pointing to dark streaks across the metal. "This thing has been in some kind of fight. There are blast marks and what looks like damage from weapons." Elena examined the damage Jake had found. The metal was scorched and dented in several places. Whatever had happened to this object, it had been violent. She could see places where pieces had been torn away, leaving jagged holes in the smooth surface. "It's a ship," Amanda said suddenly. "This is a spacecraft from somewhere else. And from the looks of it, it crash-landed here a long time ago." The three scientists looked at each other with growing excitement and fear. They had stumbled onto the discovery of a lifetime. An alien spaceship, buried in the Nevada desert, waiting for someone to find it. Elena pulled out her satellite phone to call her supervisor. As she dialed, she noticed something else. There were more metal patches scattered around the area, all partially buried in the sand. The ship was even larger than they had first thought. "Dr. Martinez, this is Elena," she said when her boss answered. "You need to get a team out here right away. We've found something incredible. Something that's going to change everything we know about life in the universe." While Elena talked on the phone, Jake and Amanda continued exploring the buried ship. They found what looked like a damaged opening in the hull. Air was flowing out of the crack, suggesting there might be space inside the vessel. "Elena, when you're done with that call, you have to see this," Jake called out. "I think we can get inside this thing." Elena hung up her phone and walked over to where Jake was kneeling. Through the crack in the hull, she could see lights flickering in the darkness. The ship was not completely dead. After all the years buried in the desert, something inside was still working. The three scientists stood at the edge of humanity's greatest discovery, knowing that their lives and the world would never be the same again. 6 months had passed since Dr. Elena Rodriguez and her team found the alien ship in the Nevada desert. The massive vessel now sat inside a secret government building in the mountains of Colorado. The building was so large it could hold 10 passenger planes side by side, but even then the alien ship barely fit inside. Colonel Lisa Barnes walked around the ship every morning before her team started work. She was in charge of the whole project, and the responsibility felt heavy on her shoulders. The ship was like nothing humans had ever seen before. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. "Good morning, Colonel," said Dr. Marcus Chun as he approached with his clipboard full of notes. Marcus was the chief engineer on the project. He had been studying the ship's systems for months, trying to understand how everything worked. "What do we have today, Marcus?" Lisa asked, still looking up at the enormous hull above them. "We made another breakthrough last night," Marcus said with excitement in his voice. "Katie found a way to connect our computers to the alien control systems. We can actually talk to the ship now." Katie Walsh was working at a computer station near the front of the ship. She was young, but brilliant with technology. Katie could make any machine work, even when other people said it was impossible. She had thick cables running from her computers into an open panel on the ship's hull. "Show me what you found, Colonel," Barnes said as she walked over to Katie's workstation. Katie looked up from her keyboard and smiled. "Watch this," she said. She typed some commands on her computer, and suddenly lights began turning on all through the ship. The hull started to glow with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "The ship is alive," Katie explained. "Not alive like a person or animal, but alive like a very smart machine. It can think and make decisions on its own. The aliens who built this were amazing." Dr. Marcus Chun pulled out his tablet and showed Colonel Barnes a map of the ship's interior. "We've explored about 60% of the vessel now. The aliens who owned this ship took almost everything valuable when they left. All the weapons are gone. The navigation computers were removed. Even the main power source was stripped out. But they left some things behind," Katie added quickly. "Things they thought were not worth taking. That's where it gets interesting." "Colonel," Barnes raised an eyebrow. "What kind of things?" Marcus led her to another section of the ship where more team members were working. Alex Turner was there, studying what looked like a large empty room. Alex had been a fighter pilot before becoming an engineer. He understood how flying machines worked and how to make them better. This was probably their weapons room, Alex explained, pointing to empty mounting points on the walls. They took all the alien weapons, but they left the power connections and the targeting systems. We think we can put our own weapons here. Instead, our weapons? Colonel Barnes asked. You mean human weapons? Exactly, Alex said with a grin. We've been testing it with small missiles. The alien targeting system is incredibly accurate, much better than anything we have on Earth. If we can mount our weapons on their systems, we'll have something really special. Dr. Ben Roberts was working in another part of the ship, studying pieces of the hull material. Ben was a scientist who specialized in understanding what things were made of. He had been trying to figure out the alien metal for months. Colonel Barnes, you have to see this, Ben called out. He had a small piece of the ship's hull in a testing machine. This metal is incredible. Watch what happens when I heat it up. Ben turned on his heating device and pointed it at the metal sample. Instead of getting hot and expanding like normal metal, the sample actually got stronger and harder. When he switched to a freezing beam, the metal became flexible like rubber. The HFY can change its properties based on what's happening around it, Ben explained. If something hits the ship, the metal automatically becomes harder in that spot. If the ship needs to bend or flex, the metal becomes softer. It's like the ship can heal itself and adapt to any situation. Elena Rodriguez had been listening to all these reports with growing excitement. She was now working as the team's expert on alien culture and technology. The written records we found tell us why the aliens left this ship behind, she said. They called it obsolete and worthless, Elena continued. The aliens who built this were called the Kethver. They were a warrior race that always wanted the newest and most powerful technology. To them, this ship was old and slow. They thought it was only good for scrap metal. Katie laughed from her computer station. Old and slow? This ship can travel. Faster than light. It can repair itself. It has systems we can't even understand yet. How is that worthless? Because they were thinking like aliens, Dr. Chun said. They saw limitations where we see possibilities. They wanted perfect systems that did exactly what they were designed to do. We see systems that can be changed and improved. Colonel Barnes was beginning to understand what her team was telling her. You think we can make this ship better than it was when the aliens owned it? We already have, Alex said confidently. The aliens built this ship to work one specific way. We're building it to work any way we need it to. We're not just fixing their old ship. We're creating something completely new. Over the following weeks, the team worked day and night on their improvements. Katie connected human artificial intelligence to the alien computer systems. Alex installed missile launchers and energy weapons in the empty weapon mounts. Ben programmed the hull material to respond even faster to threats and changes. Dr. Chun coordinated all the different improvements, making sure everything worked together properly. The ship was becoming a hybrid of alien technology and human creativity. It was stronger, faster, and more flexible than anything either species had built alone. We need a name for our new ship, Colonel Barnes announced during one of their evening meetings. Any suggestions? Elena looked around at her tired but excited teammates. How about Phoenix? She said. We took something that was dead and abandoned, and we brought it back to life, just like the mythical bird that rises from ashes. Everyone nodded in agreement. The Phoenix was born, and with it, humanity's first step toward the stars had begun. Captain Ryan Foster sat in the command chair of the Phoenix, watching Earth grow smaller through the viewing screen. This was the ship's first real test flight beyond the moon. After months of upgrades and modifications, they were finally ready to see what their hybrid vessel could do in deep space. All systems are running perfectly, Captain, reported Katie Walsh from her engineering station. The alien drive is working better than we hoped. We're already moving faster than any human ship has ever traveled. Ryan nodded and looked around the bridge at his crew. These were the same people who had discovered and rebuilt the ship. Elena Rodriguez was now his cultural advisor, ready to help if they met other alien species. Dr. Amanda Price operated the science stations, constantly scanning space around them for anything unusual. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Amanda said suddenly. Her voice was tense with worry. "There are ships approaching us, big ones, and they're not from Earth." Ryan felt his heart start beating faster. "How many ships?" "5 vessels. All much larger than us," Amanda replied. "They're moving into formation around us. I think they want to talk." Elena moved to Ryan's side. "This could be our first contact with the species that built this ship, the Kethvar. We need to be very careful how we handle this." The main viewing screen flickered and then showed the image of an alien creature. It was tall and covered in dark scales, with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. The alien wore what looked like military armor, decorated with symbols of rank and honor. "Primitive creatures," the alien spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. The ship's translation system converted his words into English. "You have activated technology. That belongs to the Kethvar Empire. I am War Leader Zexthai, commander of this patrol fleet." Ryan stood up from his chair and tried to look confident, even though he felt nervous. "I am Captain Ryan Foster of the human ship Phoenix. We found your vessel abandoned on our world. We repaired it and made it functional again." Zexthai made a sound that might have been laughter. "Abandoned?" "Yes, that worthless scrap was left on your primitive planet because it was broken beyond repair. Even our lowest engineers could not make it work properly. You expect me to believe that your backward species succeeded where we failed." "We didn't just make it work," Ryan said, feeling a spark of anger. "We made it better." The alien war leader's red eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Impossible. Your species has barely learned to leave your own world. We have been traveling between stars for thousands of your years. You are children playing with tools you do not understand." Elena stepped forward. "With respect, War Leader, we studied your vessel for months. We learned about your people and your technology. We improved upon both." "You improved Kethvar technology?" Zexthai asked. His voice carried a tone of disbelief and insult. "Show me these improvements, little human." Katie looked at Captain Foster, who nodded his permission. She activated several of their new systems. The ship's hull began to shimmer and change color, adapting to the energy signatures of the alien ships around them. The weapon systems came online, though they kept them in defensive mode only. Zexthai studied the displays on his own ship for several minutes. When he looked back at the humans, his expression had changed slightly. "Interesting. You have managed to make our discarded refuse somewhat functional. This shows promise for your species." "We're not looking to impress you," Ryan said firmly. "We're here to establish peaceful relations between our peoples. Earth wishes to be recognized as an independent world." The alien war leader's 4 arms moved in what seemed like a dismissive gesture. "Independent? Your species is centuries behind us in development. You have one small ship made from our garbage. We have fleets that could turn your entire world to dust. But you haven't," Elena pointed out, "which suggests you're not the mindless conquerors your reputation claims you to be." Zexthai's narrowed. "You know of our reputation." "How?" "We translated your ship's records," Elena explained. "We learned about your empire, your wars, your conquests. We also learned that you respect strength and innovation. We believe we've shown both." "You have shown cleverness, nothing more," Zexthai replied. "Any child can play with a broken toy until it makes noise again. That does not make the child an engineer. Ryan felt his crew's anger growing around him. These aliens were treating them like ignorant savages, even though they had accomplished something the Kethver themselves could not do. What do you want? From us? Ryan asked directly. Return our property, Zexthai commanded. Surrender this vessel to us immediately. In exchange, we will consider establishing trade relations with your world. Your people may prove useful as workers or soldiers in our empire. And if we refuse? Ryan asked, though he already knew the answer. Then you will face the consequences of theft, the alien war leader said coldly. We give you one of your weeks to decide. Bring the ship to these coordinates and surrender it peacefully. If you do not, we will return with a proper war fleet and take it by force. The viewing screen showed a star map with a location marked in red. It was far from Earth, in empty space between solar systems. You would attack Earth over one old ship? Elena asked with disbelief. We would attack Earth to maintain respect. For Kethver property, Zexthai corrected. Other species must see that stealing from us brings swift punishment. Your world would serve as an excellent example to others who might consider similar theft. Amanda looked at her sensor readings. Captain, their ships are powering up weapons. I think this conversation is over. Zexthai nodded. 1 week, humans. Return our property and accept your place in our empire, or watch your world burn. The choice is yours. The alien ships suddenly jumped away, disappearing into faster-than-light travel. The Phoenix was alone again in the darkness of space. Ryan sat back down in his command chair and looked at his crew. Well, that went about as well as we could have expected. They're not going to listen to reason, Elena said sadly. I've studied their culture. The Kethver only understand force. They see compromise as weakness. Then we have a week to prepare for war, Ryan said grimly. Katie, how fast can we get back to Earth? 6 hours if we push the engines, Katie replied. Do it, Ryan ordered. We need to warn everyone what's coming. And we need to figure out how one ship can possibly stand against an entire alien fleet. As the Phoenix turned toward home, none of them knew that they were about to prove something important to the galaxy. Sometimes the greatest strength comes not from having the best weapons, but from having the best ideas about how to use them. 1 week later, the Phoenix waited alone in the empty space between solar systems. Captain Ryan Foster had made his choice. Instead of surrendering the ship to the aliens, he had come to fight. His crew of 20 humans was ready to face whatever the Kethver brought against them. They're coming, Captain, Amanda Price reported from her science station. 21 ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're surrounding us. Ryan looked at the main screen and felt his stomach drop. The alien ships were huge, each one at least twice the size of the Phoenix. They moved into a perfect battle formation, like hunters circling their prey. Red lights glowed along their hulls, showing that their weapons were ready to fire. All crew to battle stations, Ryan announced over the ship's communication system. This is it, everyone. Time to show the galaxy what humans can do. Elena Rodriguez stood beside Ryan's command chair. She was not a soldier, but she refused to leave the bridge during the battle. The Kethver are confident they'll win easily, she said. In their minds, this is just target practice. Katie Walsh was in the engine room, her hands flying over the control panels. She had spent the last week making final improvements to their systems. Captain, all modifications are ready. The engines can handle the stress, but I don't know for how long. Commander Torres, the ship's second officer, was also in the engine room helping Katie. He had been a submarine captain before joining the Phoenix project. He understood the importance of staying calm during impossible odds. The main viewing screen showed War Leader Zexthai again. The alien commander looked pleased with himself. You chose poorly, humans. Your single ship against our war fleet. This will be over quickly. Maybe, Ryan replied, but you might be surprised by what we've learned. Zek's thigh made that laughing sound again. You have learned to make our old garbage work. We have learned to conquer worlds. The outcome is obvious. The alien ships opened fire at the same time. Beams of energy and explosive missiles flew toward the Phoenix from all directions. It looked like nothing could survive such an attack, but something unexpected happened. Instead of being destroyed, the Phoenix simply disappeared. What? Zextai shouted. Where did they go? The Phoenix had jumped into faster-than-light travel, but only for a split second. It reappeared behind the alien formation, already firing its weapons. Danny Kim, the weapons officer, had programmed their missiles to target the alien ship's engine sections. 3 Kethver vessels exploded before they could react. Impossible! Zek's thigh screamed. No ship can jump in and out of light speed that quickly. The stress would tear it apart. Katie's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. Captain, the microjumps are working, but they're putting huge strain on the ship. We can only do a few more. Ryan nodded. Danny, target their command ship. Amanda, keep scanning for weaknesses in their formation. The Phoenix jumped again, this time appearing directly above the alien fleet. It fired down at the Kethver ships while they were still trying to turn and track its movement. 2 more alien vessels took heavy damage and started falling behind the others. Dr. Amanda Price was studying our readings carefully. Captain, their weapons all fire the same type of energy. The ship's hull is learning to defend against it. Each hit makes us stronger against the next one. This was the advantage Ben Roberts had built into the hull material. The adaptive metal was studying the alien weapons and changing its structure to resist them better. What should have been killing blows were becoming barely noticeable impacts. Danny. Kim was having the time of his life at the weapons station. Their shields are designed to stop alien energy weapons, but our missiles use human technology. They can't adapt fast enough. Another microjump brought the Phoenix directly in front of Zexthai's command ship. For a moment, the 2 vessels faced each other like old-fashioned sailing ships, preparing to broadside each other. But the Phoenix was faster and more creative. The human ship's hull suddenly changed from solid metal to something that looked almost like liquid. The Kethver energy beams passed right through it without causing damage. At the same time, the Phoenix fired all its weapons at point-blank range into the alien ship's bridge. Zexthai's ship spun out of control, its command systems destroyed. Half his fleet was now either destroyed or badly damaged. The remaining ships were trying to retreat, but the Phoenix was not letting them escape easily. This is impossible, Zexthai transmitted from his damaged ship. Your technology is inferior. Your ship is ancient refuse we threw away. How are you defeating us? Ryan smiled as he watched another alien ship explode on his screen. You're right. Our technology is inferior. Your ship is old refuse. But you made one mistake. What mistake? The alien commander demanded. You assume that better technology always wins. Elena answered for Ryan. You never learned to think creatively. You never learned to adapt. You just built bigger guns and stronger shields. Commander Torres reported from engineering. Captain, we're running out of power for the microjumps. If we're going to end this, it has to be now. Ryan looked at his crew. They were tired but determined. They had proven that human creativity could overcome alien superiority. Now they needed to prove it completely. Katie, I need everything the engines can give us. Danny, load our last heavy missiles. Amanda, find me the biggest ship that's still fighting. The Phoenix turned toward the largest remaining Kethver vessel. It was a massive battleship, easily 10 times the size of the human ship. Its captain was probably confident that size and armor would protect him. "All power to engines," Ryan ordered. "We're going to ram them." The Phoenix accelerated directly toward the alien battleship. The Kethver ship fired everything it had, but the adapted hull absorbed most of the damage. At the last second, just before collision, Katie activated one final microjump. The Phoenix disappeared and reappeared inside the alien ship's shields, so close to the hull that the two vessels were almost touching. At that range, even the weakest weapons were devastating. The Phoenix fired everything it had into the battleship's core. The massive alien ship broke apart in a series of explosions that lit up space like a new star. The remaining Kethver vessels immediately began retreating, jumping away to faster than light. Speed as fast as they could, Zexthai's damaged command ship was the last to flee. Before he left, he sent one final message. "This is not over, humans. The Empire will not forget this humiliation." Ryan sat back in his command chair as the last alien ship disappeared. His crew was cheering and celebrating around him. They had done the impossible. They had taken the aliens' own discarded ship and used it to defeat a war fleet. "Elena," Ryan said quietly, "I think we just announced to the galaxy that humanity is not going to be ignored anymore." 3 months after the battle, Captain Ryan Foster stood on the bridge of the Phoenix as it approached a massive space station. This was not just any station. It was the diplomatic center of the galaxy, where dozens of alien species came to trade, negotiate, and settle disputes peacefully. "I never thought I'd see something like this," Elena Rodriguez said as she watched the station grow larger on their viewing screen. Hundreds of different ships moved around the structure like busy insects. Some were sleek and beautiful. Others looked like floating cities, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. The Phoenix looked small compared to most of the other vessels, but it moved with confidence through the traffic. Other ships gave it plenty of space. Word had spread quickly through the galaxy about the humans who had defeated a Kethver war fleet using their own abandoned technology. "Captain, we're being contacted by Station Control," Amanda Price reported from her communications station. "They're asking for our credentials and purpose." "Tell them we're here for the diplomatic conference," Ryan replied. Earth's first official representative to the galactic community. Elena straightened her formal diplomatic uniform. She was no longer just a scientist studying alien artifacts. She was now Earth's first ambassador to the stars. The responsibility was enormous, but she felt ready for it. Katie Walsh was monitoring the ship systems from her engineering station. "Everything's running perfectly, Captain. The improvements we made after the battle are working great. We're faster and stronger than ever." Over the past 3 months, they had not been idle. Using the data collected from their fight with the Kethvar, they had made the Phoenix even better. The hull could now adapt to threats faster than before. The weapons were more accurate and powerful. Most importantly, they had figured out how to build more ships using the same hybrid technology. "Incoming message from the station commander," Amanda announced. "It's a species I don't recognize." The main screen showed a tall, thin alien with silver skin and large purple eyes. It wore robes decorated with symbols from dozens of different worlds. "Welcome to Harmony Station, Vessel Phoenix. I am Station Commander Veltar of the Unified Worlds Council. We have heard remarkable stories about your species." "Thank you, Commander," Ryan replied politely. "We're honored to be here." "The honor is ours," Veltar said with what looked like a smile. "It has been many cycles since a new species has joined our community under such dramatic circumstances. Your defeat of the Kethvar fleet has been the talk of the entire galaxy." Elena moved to stand beside Ryan. "We hope to establish peaceful relations with all species. Earth seeks friendship and trade, not conflict." "An admirable goal," the station commander agreed. "However, I must warn you. Your arrival has caused quite a stir. Many species are curious about your capabilities. Others are concerned about the implications of your victory. As the Phoenix docked with the station, Ryan could see representatives from dozens of different worlds waiting to meet them. Some looked friendly and curious. Others seemed worried or suspicious. A few appeared to be taking detailed scans of their ship. "Captain, look at Docking Bay 7. Danny Kim said from his position at the tactical station. "Those are Kethver ships." Ryan looked where Danny was pointing and saw 3 familiar dark vessels. They were much smaller than the war fleet they had fought, probably diplomatic ships rather than warships. "I guess we're going to meet Zexthai again." "Actually, you're not," Elena said as she reviewed the diplomatic files they had received. Zexthai was stripped of his rank after the battle. The Kethver military blamed him for the defeat. Their new representative is someone called War Chief Morden. The docking process completed smoothly, and soon the Phoenix crew was walking through the corridors of Harmony Station. The diversity was overwhelming. Creatures of every size, shape, and color moved through the halls. Some breathed air like humans, others wore environmental suits, and a few seemed to be made of living light. Their first official meeting was with the Unified Worlds Council, a group that represented the major powers in the galaxy. The council chamber was enormous, with hundreds of different species represented around a circular table that seemed to float in mid-air. Elena took her place at the table as Earth's representative, while Ryan and the rest of the crew sat in observer seats. She had studied diplomatic protocols for weeks, but nothing could have prepared her for this moment. The Council recognizes Ambassador Elena Rodriguez of the planet Earth, announced a mechanical voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Please state your world's intentions regarding membership in the galactic community." Elena stood up and looked around the room at hundreds of alien faces. "Earth seeks peaceful membership in the galactic community. We offer friendship, trade, and cooperation to all species who share these values." A large bear-like creature with multiple eyes stood up. "What about your military capabilities? Your defeat of the Kethver suggests your species is more warlike than you claim." "We defended ourselves when attacked," Elena replied calmly. "Earth has no interest in conquest or aggression. We proved that creativity and determination can overcome brute force, but we prefer to use those same qualities for building rather than destroying." Another alien, this one looking like a floating jellyfish, pulsed with colored lights as it spoke. "Your ship technology is most unusual. You have combined Kethver engineering with your own innovations. How do we know you will not use this to threaten other worlds?" Before Elena could answer, a new voice spoke from across the room, because they have already proven their character. Everyone turned to see War Chief Morden of the Kethvar enter the chamber. He was even larger than Zexthai had been, with more scars and decorations showing his battle experience. Behind him walked 2 other Kethver officers. "The humans had every right to destroy our ships completely," Morden continued as he approached the council table. "Instead, they allowed our survivors to escape. They showed mercy to an enemy who had threatened their world with destruction." Elena was surprised by this unexpected support, but she remained standing calmly. "We believe that former enemies can become future allies, given time and understanding." Morden nodded slowly. "The Kethver Empire has underestimated humanity. We saw primitive technology and assumed primitive minds. We were wrong. These humans took our discarded refuse and made it into something we could never have imagined. Are you suggesting an alliance?" asked the bear-like alien with surprise. "I am suggesting respect," Morden replied. "The humans have earned a place among the stars. They have proven that innovation matters more than raw power. The Kethver Empire would be honored to learn from their example." The council chamber buzzed with conversation as different species discussed this unexpected development. Elena looked back at Ryan and her crew, seeing pride and accomplishment in their faces. Commander Veltar called for order. The council will vote on Earth's application for membership. All in favor? Lights around the chamber began turning green as species after species voted in favor of Earth's membership. When the voting ended, over 90% had voted yes. Welcome to the galactic community, Ambassador Rodriguez, Veltar announced. May this be the beginning of a long and prosperous relationship. 6 months later, Elena stood on the bridge of the Phoenix as it led a small fleet of human ships toward a distant star system. They were not going to war. They were going to help establish a new colony for refugees fleeing a natural disaster. In their home system, the Phoenix was no longer alone. 3 more ships built with the same hybrid technology followed behind it. Each one was crewed by humans who had learned the lessons of creativity, adaptation, and determination. Ambassador, we're receiving a message from the colony ships, Ryan reported. They're thanking us for the escort and the supplies we're bringing. Elena smiled as she watched the stars ahead. Tell them it's our pleasure. This is what humanity does best. We take broken things and make them better. We turn impossible situations into new opportunities. The ship that had once been worthless. Alien scrap now carried the hopes and dreams of an entire species toward the stars. And wherever humans went, they brought with them the unstoppable power of innovation and the determination to never give up. The galaxy would never be the same.